Today's recap is very interesting. Set in the near future, California has introduced a game called the Grand Lottery, established after the catastrophic financial collapse known as the Great Depression of 2026. On lottery days, a randomly chosen winner must survive until sundown to claim their prize. The twist? Anyone in the city can kill the winner to take the reward, with the only rules being no guns and no killing anyone other than the chosen winner. Fast forward to 2030, where we meet our main character, Katie Kim, who has just returned to Los Angeles after a long break from her acting career. Unaware of the city's madness, she arrives just as a news report announces the next Grand Lottery, with a record-breaking prize of $3.6 billion up for grabs in 18 hours. Katie checks into her Airbnb, only to find it in a mess, much to her frustration. Her host, Shadi, admits to using fake photos to attract guests. With no other options, Katie decides to stay. The next morning, a TV ad introduces Noel, the sole employee of a private security firm that protects Grand Lottery winners. Meanwhile, Katie wakes up to a sewage leak ruining her clothes, just an hour before her audition. Shadi offers to rent her clothes, forcing Katie to spend money on a terrible costume. She hurries to the audition in an Uber, with a chatty driver who claims to know many celebrities and even built a panic room for Machine Gun Kelly. At the audition, Katie explains her break due to her mother's illness and recent passing. The judge, uninterested, asks her to perform. In her pocket, Katie finds an unclaimed lottery card, likely left by Shadi. In her panic, she accidentally registers herself as a participant. Her performance fails to impress, and as she leaves, the lottery results are announced. Katie Kim is the winner. The other girls in the room attack her, thinking it's due to the casting competition. Katie escapes, but the attacks continue as people call her Jackpot. Katie seeks help at a martial arts class and a yoga class, but both groups attack her. Just when all hope seems lost, Noel bursts in and rescues her. He offers protection for 10% of her prize, and Katie, still confused, agrees. Noel informs her that a drone will track her and broadcast her location every 14 minutes. They flee the building, but are attacked by a large crowd. Noel explains the Grand Lottery and its rules to Katie, who is horrified by the game's immorality. Katie asks how to quit the game, and Noel explains that leaving the city is the only way. Despite not benefiting from this, Noel agrees to help her. After several attacks, their car reaches a dead end. They encounter cops, but they also want to kill Katie. Noel stays behind to fight them, urging Katie to flee. She finds refuge in a wax museum with the help of a kind security guard who opposes the lottery system. Katie calls Shadi for help, but realizes even her Airbnb host wants to kill her. Shadi and DJ arrive at the museum and attack Katie, but she escapes and locks them inside. Just as she catches her breath, a woman spots her, and a crowd rushes to kill her. Noel arrives in a police car to rescue her. They are pursued by a tour bus, and Noel wishes for a safe place to hide. Katie remembers the Uber driver's story about building a panic room for Machine Gun Kelly. They arrive at MGK's house and request access to the panic room. Initially refusing, MGK gives in when the tour bus arrives. Katie grabs Noel's dart gun and threatens MGK, forcing him to let them inside. When they reach the panic room, Katie apologizes to MGK and knocks him out with the dart gun. Meanwhile, the crowd enters the living room, and a man tries to force his arm through the door. Katie quickly shoots him with the dart gun and shuts the door just in time. They both breathe a sigh of relief, finally feeling safe. Despite this, Katie remains suspicious of Noel, fearing he might still try to kill her. Noel reassures her that he doesn't see her as an ATM with a $3.6 billion prize. Outside, in the living room, Shadi slaps MGK to wake him up, but he remains unconscious. She drags him to the swimming pool, where he finally wakes up. Shadi demands the panic room's passcode, and MGK reluctantly reveals it is 6969. Katie and Noel learn this through the CCTV cameras and are terrified. Noel calls an old friend named Louis for help, requesting something called a phone strike, and rushes to put Katie's phone into a safe. Moments later, Shadi enters the passcode, and the panic room door opens. Just then, everyone's phones ring with an emergency notification. Before they can react, their phones start to explode, causing chaos and severe injuries. Katie and Noel seize the opportunity to escape and hurry outside, where a team of rescue personnel meets them and drives them away from the chaos. Shortly after, they arrive at a facility where Noel's friend Louis greets them. Louis, the owner of the country's largest security firm, offers to protect Katie in exchange for 30% of her winnings. Katie agrees, but requests that Noel receive 30% of that 30% for saving her life multiple times. Lewis reluctantly agrees, and Katie signs the contract. Louis then shows some grenades in his pocket, which he can use to deter the crowd if they pursue her. He also reveals a wall of previous winners, all of whom are anonymous. In the next scene, Katie and Noel are taken to a room to be treated for their injuries. Noel takes this time to open up about his traumatic past. He reveals that he and Louis used to work for a private firm tasked with assassinating mercenaries. However, he discovered that their superiors were ordering them to kill innocent civilians. Filled with guilt, Noel abandoned a major mission, leading to the deaths of all his associates, leaving only him and Louis as survivors. Noel now sends most of his earnings to the victims' families as restitution. Hearing this, Katie feels bad and decides to share her own past. She reveals that as a child, she appeared in many commercials, but her father controlled her finances. When she turned 18, she decided she wanted to take charge of her work. Her father agreed to let her manage her own career, but the next day, he abandoned the family and took all her money. This forced Katie to give up acting to care for her sick mother. She reveals that this experience has made it difficult for her to trust people. Soon after, an employee arrives and places an aesthetic face mask on Katie, making her look like an old man. She then asks Noel how much he trusts Louis, as she feels something is off about him. This sends Noel into deep thought, recalling that all previous winners were anonymous. He also notices that Louis' facility is now very high-end, which wasn't the case a few years ago. This leads Noel to suspect that Louis might be killing his clients and taking their money. Before they can act, they are led to a garage where Louis announces that Katie will be taken to a safe location. Katie insists she won't leave without Noel, but Louis assures her that Noel will be in a different car. This leads to an argument, and Katie eventually kicks Louis in the crotch. Meanwhile, Noel opens the garage door, allowing a small crowd to rush inside. They don't recognize Katie, and Noel quickly whisks her away. He stays behind to fight off Louis's guards while Katie flees in a car. Katie intends to escape the city to quit the game for good. The drone loses sight of her, and people speculate that if she stays hidden until sundown, she could be declared the winner. However, just as Katie is about to leave the city, she receives a video call from Louis, who is holding Noel at gunpoint. He threatens to kill Noel unless she turns around and comes to him. Noel urges her to leave, but Katie cannot abandon him. Meanwhile, Louis takes Noel to the Hollywood Theatre and reveals that he always knew they were killing innocent people. He didn't mind because it was easy money. Louis blames Noel for ruining everything and reveals that he killed all their associates. This revelation leaves Noel stunned, as he has carried the guilt for years. Katie suddenly appears with a bolt gun and finds Noel tied up on the stage. She threatens to shoot herself, but Louis is certain she won't do it. He challenges her to go ahead if she has the guts. Katie explains that she is no longer afraid of death and prepares to shoot herself. Louis intervenes at the last second and agrees to cooperate. He asks Katie for the bolt gun, which she pretends to hand over. She then kicks him and throws him off the stage. Soon after, the crowd tracks down her location and arrives to kill her. However, there are also many people who support Katie and want her to win. Noel, still handcuffed to the chair, begins fighting them off. The chair quickly breaks, and he defends Katie from anyone who tries to harm her. As more people arrive, Katie climbs a scaffolding for safety. Unfortunately, Louis follows her, and they engage in an intense fight. With only 60 seconds left, Louis throws Katie off the scaffolding, but she manages to grab onto a metal beam. She then reveals that she has pulled the safety pin from one of the grenades in his pocket. Before Louis can react, the grenade explodes, killing him instantly. Katie loses her grip and falls, but a group of supporters catches her with a large sheet just as the clock strikes 0. At this moment, lottery officials arrive with a check and congratulate Katie on winning the prize. She thanks Noel for everything and promises to give him 50% of her winnings. He jokingly says he was going to double-cross her, but didn't get the chance. Katie refuses to believe this and insists that he is a good man who saved her life. In the final scene, 6 months have passed. Katie has established charitable organizations, including a self-defense school and a center for kids with troubled childhoods. At the same time, they enjoy some of their earnings on luxuries such as super yachts and fashion wear. And that's where the story ends. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.